What's going on, y'all? BigBossFabo. We are back with a video, man. We're reacting to Epstein's Island was so horrific. One victim tried to swim away. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below.
Infamous sex offender Jeffrey Epstein used the secluded island to both wine and dine the rich and build a trap where women and children as young as 12 describe rape, sexual abuse, and trafficking.
The girls and young women who went on the island were basic prisoners. You couldn't leave.
A CNN review of thousands of videos, photos, and emails in the DOJ files, written testimony from victims, and satellite imagery paint the clearest picture yet of how Epstein transformed this island into an elaborate crime scene. The files show the signs of abuse captured on camera.
It's just for Jeffrey's amusement.
Powerful guests publicly and repeatedly say they didn't see this abuse, but it was so obvious and bold, according to one victim, that anyone spending significant time at any of Epstein's residences would have clearly been aware of what was going on. To do what he planned, Epstein used the island's seclusion.
This is my swimming pool. No one's allowed to dock here. My beach.
Helicopter or boat were the only way visitors could get to the island he purchased for about $8 million in 1998. In 2002, satellite images show the island, Little St. James, was barely developed. Just one main house here and a few small buildings on the northern tip of the roughly 70-acre island. Over the next 2 decades, you can see Epstein's building spree as he transformed it into a luxurious vacation escape, expanding the main home to the north. He built a larger pool, new cabanas, upgraded rooms, a dental office for some unknown reason, and this unusual-looking building, referred to in the files as a temple. He also...
Now that's creepy. That's just weird right there. What is he doing over here? Sacrifices? You know, it's one thing being shipwrecked and stranded on the island, right? It's another thing having a plane, a helicopter drop you off on the island and you stranded that way. You got no way of getting back, no communication. They probably have no phones, no service out there. Who knows? Weird. Made this island into his whole kind of compound, so to speak.
Usual-looking building, referred to in the files as a temple. He also bought a $300,000 antique desk and statues worth about $100,000. As Epstein developed his getaway, he wrote repeatedly in emails to business and government leaders, "Come visit me on my island." Even after Epstein was convicted in 2008 for sex crimes, including one involving a minor, the visitors kept coming. Like LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman, who explained on a podcast late last year that he briefly went to the island while fundraising for MIT.
He was a masterful networker.
But beneath Epstein's business dealings, Virgin Islands prosecutors say Epstein coerced girls as young as 12 into sexual activity. One victim said she was trapped on the island. "I tried to escape Epstein and the others by trying to swim off after spending the day being raped." Epstein's home decor even showed signs of his crimes.
There were bunk beds. And I said to him, "Oh my God, are you expecting grandchildren?" And he said, "No, these are for the girls."
We spoke with architect and interior designer Robert Couturier. He was hired by Epstein to work on the island. He backed out of the project after a few months and then told the FBI this is what Epstein instructed.
I'm about to say, the dude works on the project, works on the island, and then's able to just walk freely and act like he had no idea what was happening or occurring. I guess it's one thing to build structures, right? But it's another thing, like, you know, to use these structures for dubious purposes or whatever it may be. But if he's asking you to build bunk beds and like you said, he's telling you it's for the children, for the girls, that's a red flag immediately. So I wonder at what point in time he stopped working on the project. At what point in time did he report this to the feds?
Especially for the bunk rooms, they had to be for girls. There's dance pink and these sorts of things.
So there's no mistaking this wasn't for women. These were
There's no mistaking. You don't put women on bunk beds, I'm sorry. Unless you are in some youth hostel somewhere, but you don't have guest rooms with bunk beds for ladies. And inside the house, there was another little room with computers, and I said, what is this room? And he said, this room is for the girls when they have fun. And they play with their computers. The whole house was very odd because we were on the beach, and the house had heavy dark curtains everywhere. The windows were never really opened. It felt terrible. And he also asked me, he said, I want to build a big TV room, a movie cinema underneath the pool, and I will furnish it with beds. Everybody knew what was happening on that island. Even his staff, people worked for him.
A former staffer said the main home had many pictures.
Money talk, money talk. Everybody kept the lips sealed, right? They was getting paid. Dude turned his whole movie theater into a sleepover lounge.
Of young girls, some topless, looking about 15 to 16 years old. In room after room of the island home, the files show visible signs of something off. Like Epstein in his kitchen chasing girls or young women. And his staff noticed. A former chef said,
sound like they're having a lot of fun. We're hearing lots of giggles. We're hearing a lot of banter, right? And one could argue, oh, you don't know. They could have just been, assuming the position, fighting for their lives. They didn't want to make any false movements. But, I mean, takeaway from this clip specifically, we're hearing laughs, we're hearing giggles. I think everybody's demeanor was probably different. There's probably some girls who didn't mind what was going on. There's probably some girls who wanted to stay locked up in their room all day, right? Didn't want to participate or, converse. But come on, to say, essentially everyone's a victim, right? Whether they have knowledge of what's happening or what's going on or they've been coerced. But at the end of the day, we can't make it seem like some of these women were grown. We've seen some stories of women that are older than 20 plus or whatever it may be. So some of them, we're seeing that they made their own choice and their own decision. I don't know. I think that in some situations you have enough common sense to say, hey, a dude wants to fly me out to an island. I don't really have context or detail of what he wants from me or what he wants of me. Because in some situations, he made it very blasé, it seemed like. It didn't seem like it was intentional on, we're bringing you to the island for X, Y, and Z. Sometimes it seemed like he kind of got people to come to the island in just a very lackadaisical, carefree, this is going to be a fun type of event. Hey, just come to the island, let's chill. And then things get weird.
Every hour, Epstein would take a girl down to his master bedroom, then order his maid to clean up. Another staffer worried about Epstein's guests. He described seeing an unnamed man with girls who did not look 18 and they were all naked. He also told the FBI he saw then Prince Andrew grinding against some young girl in the pool. UK authorities arrested Andrew last month, saying they're reviewing claims he shared sensitive government information with Epstein. Andrew was released and denies he did anything wrong. Victims say visitors could have seen all this as early as the mid-2000s. One victim described a 2007 visit by Google co-founder Sergey Brin and then-fiancé and 23andMe co-founder Anne Wojcicki. They observed that we did not speak and that we remained mute. Sergey and Anne witnessed our souls and bodies riddled with fear. They said nothing. They did nothing. A man who looks like Brin, about the same age as he was in 2007, is seen in this picture in the DOJ files, though it is undated. Former head of Victoria's Secret, Les Wexner, described his visit in a video deposition.
Walked around for a while and left. Probably an hour visit.
On that trip, do you recall seeing any prominent figures on the island?
No, it was a pretty crummy island.
After Epstein's 2008
Bro said it was crummy, so I just don't understand what was the context of the meetings. I just visited it. I wanted to see it for what? What are we having, some business conversation? What are y'all discussing here? That couldn't be done over the phone, on a Zoom call, stateside. Who knows? Sounds kind of iffy to me.
crimes conviction, an email shows the Sultan from the United Arab Emirates, Ahmed bin Sulayem, paid a visit. The Sultan separately traded lewd emails with Epstein, telling him he was going to sample a fresh 100% female Russian at my yacht. Howard Lutnick, now Trump's Commerce Secretary, dropped by in 2012. He's seen here in this undated photo. Lutnick said last month he saw nothing concerning.
We had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies.
Well, this looked like First Lady. It looked like Donald Trump's wife. I don't know why I don't even remember her name right now.
And my wife, all together. We were on family vacation.
What do you think about the people who did go to the island and say they never saw anything?
Listen, I think you can decide that you're blind. You can decide that you only want to see what you want to see. I think it's a decision that you make. But the idea that a person would go to that island and not see something weird is impossible to me. For me to have seen it, everybody else had to see it.
When you think back to how obvious it was to you, do you wonder about, no one saying anything back then?
I've been wondering for the last 15 years. If in 2010 I knew it and we all...
Come on, if it's been 15 years plus, seems like you weren't singing as loudly as you could have been. You weren't as vocal as you could have been. I mean, you was leading a lot of the construction, the architecture on, the design on a lot of the projects occurring here on the island. At what point in time, like I said earlier in the video, did you report this to the feds?
Knew it and I was interrogated and nothing happened. And that he died in 2019 and we all knew it and I was interrogated 15 years. If in 2010 I knew it and we all knew it and I was interrogated and nothing happened, and that he died in 2019 having perpetrated more crimes from 2010 to 2019, and that we could have saved so many young women that wouldn't have had to go through what they went through.
Crazy work, man. The Epstein Island. So there you have it, man. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this. Crazy, so much information coming out after the fact. Obviously, he took the coward way out. I believe he did commit suicide, right? But I think that there's just going to be more and more unfolding, more and more that we find out when it comes to the files. Well-known names, celebrities, prominent figures that made their little appearances here, But I just fully don't understand if a lot of these guys were partaking or they have some type of business relationship to where it seemed like Epstein, the proposition was always to come to his island. The proposal was always come to the island to visit. So I'm not sure if he at one point would get you there to talk business, then coerce you in participating, or there's people who came there with that intent originally, off rip. So comment down below. Let me know y'all's thoughts on this, man. Peace, love, prosperity. God bless. We'll see y'all in the next video.